Imagine looking up at the night sky, at a tiny black dot where a star should be, and realizing that might be an engine, not a car engine, not a rocket engine, an engine built by something far, far smarter than us, an alien engine. Welcome back to Play Eat for What. Today I want you to stay with me inside one long, slow breath of a thought. What if black holes are not just scary cosmic drains, but tools? What if somewhere out there, a civilization so old and so advanced has learned not just to live near a black hole, but to drive the universe with it? I'm not asking you to believe this is true. I just want to walk you through the idea, gently and clearly, like we're sitting together on a quiet night, sharing a drink, and letting our minds wander toward the edge of everything. When I was a kid, I was terrified of black holes. I saw this picture in a school book, a funnel, swirling down into darkness. It looked like a drain in a bathtub, but the water was stars. The caption said, "Nothing, not even light, can escape a black hole." That line stayed in my head for years. Nothing escapes. No way out. It felt like the universe had traps hidden in it. That night, I lay in bed and imagined my room stretching out, the walls moving away, the ceiling opening up into space. I imagined my bed floating. I saw a black circle far away, just hanging there. And I thought, what if that thing just pulls everything in and eats it forever? It felt cold, the kind of cold that is not really about temperature, but about being alone and small. But here's the funny thing. The more I learned about black holes, the less they felt like monsters, and the more they felt like machines. Not machines we built, but machines the universe builds when stars die. And once you start seeing them that way, it's not a huge step to ask, if they're machines, could someone use them? Could someone smarter than us turn a black hole into an engine? Let's take this slowly with very simple steps. No math, no fancy words, just pictures in your mind. First, what is a black hole really? Forget the scary movie version for a moment. Imagine a huge star, many times bigger than our sun. It burns for millions of years, it shines, it warms planets. Maybe life grows around it, but one day it runs out of fuel. It can't hold itself up anymore. Gravity, the thing that pulls everything together, wins. The star collapses down smaller and smaller, until it's so dense, so squeezed that not even light can climb out of its gravity. That's a black hole. Matter packed so tight that space and time bend around it like a deep well. If light were a ball and space were a stretchy sheet, a black hole would be the deepest dent you could imagine. Anything that rolls too close falls in and can never come back. We call the edge of that no-return area the event horizon. Once you cross that line, that's it. No signal comes back out. It's like the do not cross tape at a crime scene, except this one is written into the rules of the universe. But here's the twist. Outside that edge, black holes are not just empty holes. They affect the world around them in powerful ways. They pull on stars, they spin, they heat up gas, they shoot out beams of energy. If you stand far enough away, you don't get sucked in. You just feel their gravity, like you feel Earth's gravity, just much stronger. Now imagine you're not a human on Earth. Imagine you are part of a civilization that is 1,000,000 years old. You've solved your energy problems. You've done solar, nuclear, fusion, all of it. You've built cities in space. Maybe you've spread across your whole galaxy. Now you face a new kind of problem, the long, slow hunger of time. Stars die, planets freeze. The universe is expanding, growing darker and colder. If you want your civilization to last not just for a few thousand years, but for billions or trillions, you need a power source that can last almost forever. You need something that can give you energy even when stars are gone. Where do you look? You look at the deepest wells of gravity in the universe, black holes. Let's pause for a moment and bring this closer to home. Have you ever stared at a power outlet in your wall and thought about how much your life depends on that little shape? The 2 or 3 holes that you plug things into. Behind it, there's a whole system. Power plants, wires, transformers, people watching screens at control centers. It's invisible, but it's a kind of magic. You plug something in, and it moves, it lights up, it sings. Now scale that idea up. Instead of a power plant that burns gas or coal or uses the wind, imagine a power plant that uses gravity itself, the fall of matter into a black hole, to light up your civilization. A black hole as a cosmic power outlet. That's what I mean when I say alien engine, not a metal box with gears and oil. A system built by a civilization that taps into a black hole's power and uses it on purpose. Before we talk about how, let's talk about what black holes already do, all by themselves. Picture a black hole sitting in the middle of a cloud of gas. The gas spirals in like water circling a drain. As it falls, it speeds up. It gets squeezed, it rubs against other gas, it heats up, it glows. Sometimes it shines so brightly that it outshines an entire galaxy. We see these as quasars, bright hearts of galaxies where a black hole is feeding. That glowing, swirling disk of hot gas around a black hole is called an accretion disk. You don't need that word. Just remember the picture. A flat, bright disk of fire spinning around a dark center. The closer the gas gets to the hole, the more energy it releases as heat and light before it finally falls in. Now imagine you're an advanced alien engineer. You see this natural process, this swirling, glowing disk, and you think, that's free energy. That's a power plant that gravity is already running for me. Can I capture some of that light and heat? Can I guide this process and make it more efficient? It's like early humans watching a waterfall. At first, it's just pretty. Then someone thinks, wait, that falling water is doing work. It's moving. Can I use that to grind grain or turn a wheel or make electricity? A black hole is like a waterfall of space and time. One way aliens might use a black hole is as a gravity battery. You drop stuff in and you get energy out in the form of heat and light from the swirling disk. The more carefully you drop it, the more energy you can get before it disappears. Imagine you have a rock sitting on a high shelf. If you knock it off, it falls, hits the ground, and makes a sound. Some of its stored energy becomes heat, sound, maybe a bit of dust in the air. Now imagine you had a super deep well. Dropping the same rock into that well would give you more energy because it falls farther, speeds up more, hits harder. A black hole is like the deepest well possible. Drop matter in, and as it falls, if you can catch the heat and light it gives off on the way, you can get an incredible amount of energy. Much, much more than burning the same mass as fuel. Some scientists have even calculated that if you drop something the right way, you could, in theory, turn a big part of its mass into pure energy as it spirals in. That's the kind of efficiency that would make even the best star look wasteful. Now think of structures. A truly advanced civilization might build giant collectors around a black hole, like mirrors or panels, to catch that energy. Around stars, some people imagine something called a Dyson sphere, a shell or swarm of objects around a star, capturing its light. Around a black hole, you could imagine something similar, but it would be shaped to catch the glow of the disk and maybe other forms of energy we can't easily see. So from far away, what would we see? Maybe a dark spot where a black hole sits, wrapped in a strange, orderly glow. Not just a messy, random cloud like most black holes, but a clean, controlled structure. Bright in specific ways, dim in others. A black hole dressed in technology. There is another, even stranger way to use a black hole as an engine, and it comes from its spin. Many black holes spin very fast. When a star collapses, it keeps its spin, just like an ice skater who pulls in their arms and spins faster. That spin is energy, a lot of energy. If you could somehow reach into that spin and slow it down, you could pull energy out. It's like a spinning top. If you could press a little device against it, slow it a bit, and turn that slowing into electricity, you'd be tapping its spin energy. A black hole's spin twists space around it. If you're close enough, Space itself is dragged around like a whirlpool. There is a way, at least in theory, to use that. If you send something into a special region around the black hole and split it, you can arrange things so that one piece falls in with negative energy and the other piece comes out with more energy than you had before. You've stolen a bit of the black hole's spin. Don't worry about the details. Just keep the image, a whirling dark ball and a careful dance of objects around it, stealing a little spin each time. It's like people skating around a spinning carousel, pushing in certain places, taking turns, so that finally the carousel slows and all that lost spin becomes their gain. This is not science fiction made up out of nowhere. This is based on real physics ideas. They were suggested by humans thinking about what is possible in the universe. That doesn't mean aliens are doing it, but it means the universe allows it. So we have two main ways to use a black hole as an engine: using the fall of matter into it as fuel, and using its spin as a battery you can drain. There's even a third: using the black hole itself as a kind of light bulb through something called Hawking radiation, where black holes very slowly leak energy. Tiny black holes, much smaller than stars, would leak energy much faster, like a hot coal. If you could make or find such black holes, you could keep them around as tiny intense power sources. But that's a whole other level of engineering, one that even we humans can barely imagine. When I first read about using black holes as engines, I remember where I was. I was sitting in a small cafe that smelled like burnt coffee and warm sugar. It was raining outside. The glass windows had little rivers running down them. The world felt very small and comfortable, like a warm pocket. I opened this article on my laptop. It had a simple line drawing of a black circle, a spinning ring around it, and arrows showing energy coming out. The words were calm, almost boring, but the idea landed in my mind like a quiet explosion. I looked up from the screen, at the barista wiping a table, at the couple sharing a piece of cake, at the people walking past under umbrellas, and I thought, we are arguing over phone chargers, and somewhere, maybe, someone is plugging their entire world into a black hole. The contrast made me smile. It wasn't a sad thought. It was grounding. It made me see that our small problems and the universe's huge possibilities can exist at the same time. One doesn't cancel the other. If black holes can be engines, then a very practical question comes next. What does it mean for us, here, now? One answer is simple. It gives us another way to think about alien life. When we look for aliens, we often listen for radio signals or look for planets like Earth. But a truly advanced civilization might not be broadcasting radio shows into space. They might be quiet but bright, using insane amounts of energy in a controlled way. Some scientists talk about different levels of civilizations. A basic one uses the energy of its planet. A bigger one uses the energy of its star. And a very advanced one uses the energy of its galaxy. Somewhere on that path, you might expect a civilization to start playing with black holes. So instead of just listening for voices, we can also look for weird energy patterns. Strange light around black holes that doesn't look natural. Black holes that are spinning slower than they should, as if someone has been draining their spin. Places where the light is too neat, too precise, too engineered. It's like walking through a forest and looking not just for animals, but also for straight lines. Perfect circles. Regular patterns. Nature can make those sometimes, but usually when you see a clean straight edge, a smooth circle, a repeating pattern, you think, someone made that. In space, patterns of light and energy can be like those straight edges. They might be clues. Of course, we haven't found anything we can point to and say, yes, that's aliens using a black hole. Not yet. What we've seen so far, colliding black holes, spinning black holes, glowing disks, can be explained by nature doing its wild thing. But the idea doesn't need to be true right now to be useful. It expands the way we think. It reminds us that intelligence doesn't always mean building cities on surfaces like ours. It might mean building around black holes in places we call deadly. And it does something else. It asks us a quiet question. What are we doing with the energy we have? Because when you imagine aliens harvesting black holes, you imagine a kind of patience and planning that is almost impossible for us. These are projects that could take millions of years. They'd need stability, cooperation, a sense of responsibility for the future. Think of the times in your own life when you thought, I'll do it later, eat better later, save money later, learn something later. We push big, long-term things away because the present feels more urgent. Now imagine a civilization that thinks, we will build a structure around that black hole, and our great-great-great-great-grandchildren will benefit from it in 10 million years. It almost feels like a different kind of mind. But is it really? Or is it just what happens when short-term problems are mostly solved and the only thing left is the long view? Sometimes when I can't sleep, I think about this. If humans were given a black hole and told, you can build an engine around this, it will give your species power for trillions of years, but the project will take 100,000 years to complete, would we do it? Or would we fight over who owns it, who controls it, who gets the first benefits? I don't know the answer, but the question softens me a little. It makes me more patient with our current mess. We're not an ancient, wise civilization yet. We're just starting. We're like kids learning to light a campfire without burning the forest down. Of course we're clumsy. Of course we argue. Of course we waste energy. Still, the idea of black holes as alien engines hangs there in the distance, like a star we might aim for in our hearts, even if we never reach it. And then there's another layer. Identity. What does it mean to be alive near a black hole? In a place where time itself is stretched? If you sit safely far from a black hole and watch something fall in, you see it slow down as it approaches the event horizon. In your view, it never quite crosses. It just gets dimmer, redder, slower, until it fades. Time near the black hole runs differently than time for you. Now imagine a civilization living in a ring around a black hole. Their clocks, their heartbeat, their thinking could run at a different speed compared to the rest of the universe. To them, their lives feel normal. To us, if we could watch, maybe they'd seem slow and patient. Or maybe if they lived very close to the edge, they'd seem extremely fast, flickering like a fire. This is not just a physics trick, it's a poetic one. It means that now is not the same everywhere. It means that a being living near a black hole might experience the universe differently, might see distant galaxies evolve and fade in what feels like a shorter time to them. If such beings used black holes as engines, they'd also be using them as clocks, as frames for their sense of history. A black hole would not just power their machines, it would shape their idea of before and after. I remember once sitting by the ocean, watching the waves come in. It was late afternoon. The air smelled like salt and sunscreen and grilled food from a stand down the beach. Kids were screaming and laughing. A dog was running in and out of the water, shaking itself dry. I watched the waves and thought about time. Each wave was a little event, a moment. None of them was special, but together they made this feeling of constant motion. No one wave was the ocean, but without them, the ocean would be still. Black holes, in a way, sit outside that constant crashing of waves. They are like deep basins where time itself bends. And if you build an engine around one, you're not just saying we want energy, you're saying we want to tie our story to this deep, strange thing. We want our rhythm to match the slow, heavy beat of gravity. Maybe that's what very advanced life does. It chooses deeper rhythms, longer arcs. It steps out of the quick, bright dance of short-lived stars and moves into the slow, heavy dance of black holes. There's also a gentler thought here about fear. We humans like to turn the unknown into monsters. Black holes as cosmic jaws, darkness as danger. But sometimes when we learn more, those monsters become tools, or at least neighbors. Fire was scary once. Lightning, volcanoes, storms. Now we've learned to use electricity, to build on volcanic soil, to predict hurricanes. Black holes might be like that on a cosmic scale. To a truly ancient civilization, they might not be horror stories. They might be work sites. Quiet, powerful places where engineers and thinkers spend their lives tuning the flow of matter and energy, like gardeners tending a strange, dark tree. When you think of it that way, the universe starts to feel less hostile. Dangerous, yes. Immense, yes. But also full of possible collaborations between mind and nature. We don't know if anyone is out there doing this. For all we know, the universe is empty of minds except ours. The black holes may all be wild, untouched by any hand. But maybe that's temporary. Maybe intelligence is rare and appears only sometimes, like a spark. Maybe most of the universe's history is just matter swirling, stars burning, black holes growing, without anyone thinking about them. And then here and there, someone wakes up, a species, a culture. They look up, they learn, they build, they reach, they disappear. And maybe, just maybe, some of them live long enough to say, let's build around that. If black holes can be engines, they also can be mirrors. When we look at them and imagine aliens using them, we're also seeing our own dreams reflected back. Our hunger for survival, our wish to matter longer than our bodies last, our secret hope that intelligence might one day be more than just a brief flame on a small blue planet. I sometimes imagine a scene. It's quiet, somewhere in the far future. Humanity is different. Maybe we're still partly flesh, partly machine. Maybe our minds live in ways we can't picture now. But we're there, orbiting a black hole we've tamed. There are vast, thin structures around it, catching light and energy, humming softly with power. You float in a habitat that smells like a mix of metal, ozone, and something green, maybe a garden. There are plants growing under artificial light, leaves moving in a gentle breeze made by fans. The floor under your feet has a faint vibration, the distant heartbeat of the black hole engine. You look out a window, some advanced radiation-proof window, and you see the black disk. Around it, a ring of white-blue light, bright as anything you've ever seen, but filtered and safe. Beyond that, the stars of a galaxy stretched out like spilled sugar on black velvet. You know that the energy feeding your home, your community, your entire civilization is coming from that dark center, from matter falling in, from spin being drained, from gravity itself. In that moment, standing there, how would you feel? Would you feel powerful, tiny, grateful, afraid, maybe all at once? I think you might feel something like what we feel right now when we look at the night sky from Earth, but deeper. A mixture of wonder and responsibility. The sense that you're part of something enormous and that your choices matter because they ripple out through time. This is the soft part of the idea. The part that's not about equations, but about meaning. Because every time we imagine aliens building engines around black holes, we're also silently asking, what could we become if we don't destroy ourselves? What long, strange projects could we one day take on? What deep wells of patience could we learn to access in ourselves? And we're also asking, do we want to? Not everyone dreams of cosmic engineering. Some people just want a quiet life, a warm meal, a safe home, the laughter of people they love. That's not small. That's not less. In a way, it's the same energy at a different scale. The wish to continue, to nurture, to build something that lasts beyond a moment. A black hole engine is just that wish written in gravity and light. When I walk at night and look up, I sometimes imagine that somewhere, right now, there is a civilization doing this. Not in a movie, not in a book, but for real. They live near a black hole. They've wrapped it in structures we can't yet see clearly. For them, it's normal. It's like our power plants, our dams, our highways. They wake up, they go about their business, they solve their own problems, they fall in love, they argue, they create art, all under the steady hum of that dark engine. Maybe they have myths about it, stories they tell their children about the first ones who dared to approach the black hole, the first engineers who risked everything to tap its power. Maybe they have songs about spin and fall and light. Maybe to them, the black hole is not a monster, but a partner. And maybe, far in their past, they had people like us, people who sat in small rooms, drinking something warm, looking at pictures of space on glowing screens and saying, "What if?" Black holes as alien engines is one of those what-if ideas that can stretch our minds without breaking them. You don't need to believe it's happening. You just need to let it sit there, like a stone in your hand. Feel its weight. Turn it around. Notice how it changes the way you see both aliens and us. It makes aliens, if they exist, not just little green men in flying saucers, but serious beings working with the raw fabric of the cosmos. It makes us, even in our messy early stage, part of a story that could, in theory, grow into something that grand. It also reminds us that the universe is full of energy, full of potential, hidden in places we once thought were only dangerous. That's true out there, and it's also true in here, inside our lives. Sometimes the things we fear most, the places we think are only dark, hide a kind of power we can learn to work with. A black hole is the ultimate symbol of that. A region of no return, yes, but also a well of energy, a possible engine. It swallows, but it also shines in its own way. So next time you look up at the night sky and you see nothing special, just a few stars, maybe some clouds, try this little exercise. Close your eyes for a second and imagine that somewhere, hidden in that darkness, is a black hole, around it a ring of light, around that structures, around those beings, minds, lives. Imagine them adjusting their engines, tuning their collectors, planning for futures so long we can barely say the numbers. Imagine that to them we are a tiny young species, just learning to plug in a lamp without blowing a fuse. And then open your eyes again, back to your room, your street, your city, your own life. Feel your feet on the floor. Hear the sounds around you, the hum of a fridge, a car passing, a bird, maybe your own breathing. All of that, small and local as it is also part of the same universe that holds black holes and possible alien engines. There is no ordinary place. There is only here, and here is connected to everything. We don't know yet if anyone is out there using black holes as engines. We may never know. But the idea itself is a kind of gentle engine for our imagination. It pulls us forward. It gives us a reason to learn more, to look more closely, to think more patiently about our future. Maybe that's enough for now. Maybe, for us, at this early moment in our story, the first engine we build from black holes is not a machine in space, but a quiet shift in how we see ourselves. Not as the end of the story, but as the opening lines. Thank you for drifting with me through this thought. Wherever you are, under whatever sky, I hope you can feel, even just a little, that you belong to a universe where such questions are possible, and that in itself is a kind of light.